Hey folks, Aaron here, otherwise known as Ivor Fowler, and today I'm bringing you a little bit of an arena deck tech. So once again, we are back in Magic the Gathering Arena in the closed beta, and since the release of Dominaria, I've been playing about with some kind of interesting cards, two of which were the Champion of the Flame, which is our 1/1 red human warrior, who has trample, but it's a 1/1, so why would you want it when he hasn't got excess damage? Because when you attach an equipment or an aura to him, he gets +2/+2 in addition to the rest of the stuff. So he can get pretty big for a little 2-mana dude. And there have been a couple decks based around him. There's been mainly a red-blue deck based around him, which is just red-blue auras. I've gone to white because of this card, Danitha Capuchin Paragon. And her effect for 2 and a white is a 2/2 first strike vigilance lifelink. That's a lot of keywords for something that's only an uncommon. But as the other effect of as well of aura and equipment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So you can kind of see the combination here. We can play Champion of the Flame and then play a Danitha, or have a Danitha and then play a Champion, and everything becomes cheaper for him. So the deck is pretty much an aggro deck. There isn't any interaction, no counter spell, something like that. It's red-white. And what we have in here is, obviously we have 2 copies of Danitha. The reason why we only have 2 rather than the full 4 is Danitha is still a legendary creature. Now, legendary creatures have the effect of, if there is one card on your side of the field with that name, so for example Danitha, if you played another, one of them would have to die. You can only have one of them at a given time. So having more than 2, in my opinion, starts to get a bit of a mess, because if you have more than if you have a Danitha and start drawing Danithas, you're just ending up with dead cards in your hand. So let's start off with the 1-mana cards. We have 2 Sky Marchers Aspirants. This is a alternative win condition for the deck. As you're playing a lot of enchantments and equipment, the ascend cost of getting 10 permanents is very reachable quite early. So you're going to end up having a 2/1 flyer on about turn 3 or 4 if you're playing near enough all of your hand. And then you just start attaching stuff, and it's a nice flyer. We then move on to the beginning of the equipment and aura package. So we have 2 of the white cartouches, which is Cartouche Solidarity, which actually is good in 2 effects for this one, as it gives the enchanted creature +1/+1 in first strike, which again, if we're giving it to Champion of Flame, essentially it gives him +3/+3 in first strike. But it also gives us a 1/1 warrior token with vigilance. And the 1/1 warrior token can end up being a really good blocker, ends up being defense against a lot of things, or ends up being an alternative option for the rest of our auras and equipment. We then have 2 Cartouche of Zeal. This is seen in the blue-red one as well, mainly because it's a 1-mana, 1/1 giving a creature +1/+1 in haste. So essentially turn 3, Champion of the Flame, and a Cartouche of Zeal. And you've got now a 4/4 with haste. And the other bonus is a creature can't block the turn it comes into play. So if your opponent's got on a bit of a slower tempo game, this means you're pretty much guaranteed 4 damage straight through to the face. And then we have 2 short swords. The short sword is very much a 1-mana, give something +1/+1, equip for 1. It's not great. I'll be honest, it's not great at all. However, Danitha makes it cost 0. So for 0, I'm okay with it. And it gives Champion of the Flame, which is our main target, +3/+3. So, swings and roundabouts, I'm not a fan of it. I would rather something else in that spot. But equipment-wise, I'm not too sure. Maybe a couple more cartouches would be better, but that's kind of a personal choice. So let's move on to some more of our heavy hitters. We have here 2 Glory-bound Initiates. This was a card from Amonkhet, which was 1 and 1 white, which is a 3/1 with Exert. When you exert a creature, you tap it and it will not untap during your next upkeep phase. Like everything else would always untap in the upkeep. If you exerted Glory-bound Initiate, he would not. However, you get the effect, which is, if you do, he gets +1 and +3 and lifelink, so he becomes a 4/4 with lifelink creature every other turn. A very good hard hitter. Again, it's another target for all of our auras and equipment. And for, even if not, we have a lifelinker for 4 that normally against mono red aggro or any of the heavy and fast hitters, it can kind of keep you alive while you're setting the rest of the combo up. Of course, no need for introduction to the Champion of Flame. He is the main win condition for the deck. So let's skip over him to Abrade. Probably one of the best removal cards in the format right now. 1 and 1 red, deal 3 damage to target creature or destroy target artifact. In paper right now with Kaladesh and Aether Revolt, this is even more powerful because of the fact Kaladesh Aether Revolt was a heavy artifact based set. So mode 2, which is destroy target artifact, is used a lot more. In Arena's format, which is everything bar those 2, that's in standard right now. It's still very good. There's a lot of things that you can kill for 3. That's on the 3. There's a few artifacts around that are worth killing. Mox Amber, for example. Karn tokens. So you've got options. So I would probably use this over Lightning Strike consistently, mainly because of the artifact hate. Then we have 4 of Frenzied Rage. A 1 and 1 red enchantment, which gives the enchanted creature +2, +1, and menace. With Danitha, this costs 1 red. Gives Champion of the Flame +3, +2, and menace. Don't need to worry about trample when you've got menace, because it means that your opponent has to block with 2 creatures, which, if the deck's doing what it's supposed to do, your opponent either has not enough creatures to block, or can't afford to block. Next up, we have Danitha. Of course, no introduction to Danitha. She is the workhorse behind the deck to make sure that everything costs a little bit less. We then have a little bit of an interesting call here, which is 3 copies of Benalish Marshal. Now, he's triple white, which is quite hard to cast in the deck sometimes, as of course you need 3 white on turn 3. But he gives the effect of other creatures control get +1/+1, so it's essentially a large scale anthem for the rest of our boys to get big and go through. At one point, this card was 3 Goblin Chain Wielder, which is the triple red card. Let me see if I can find it for you. It is... Do I own it in Arena? There he is. Goblin Chain Whirler. In paper, I have used Goblin Chain Whirler for this deck over Benalish Marshal. As the deck runs a lot of red, so it's more of a red than a white deck, so it's a little bit easier to cast Chain Whirler, and also it's a 3/3 with First Strike, and when it enters into the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. It does a lot of work. Honestly, I've gone with Marshal over Whirler in Arena, mainly because I have 3 Marshals over 3 Whirlers. I only have 1 Whirler in Arena, but also the Anthem seems to be a little bit stronger in this environment. Chain Whirler seems a tiny bit better for paper right now, only because there's a lot of X1s floating about. Anyway, let's go on to the spicy tech here. I say spicy mainly because it's another alternate win conditions like Aspirant was for the flying over, as there's not a great deal of flyers early game. This guy actually does something even more interesting. Valduk, Keeper of the Flame. So for 2 and a red, you get a 3/2 legendary human shaman, which has the effect of, at the beginning of combat on your turn, for each ore and equipment attached to Valduk, Keeper of Flame, you create a 3/1 red elemental token with trample and haste, and you exile those tokens at the beginning of the next end step. So if you consider the amount of auras and equipment we carry in the deck, you genuinely could have a lot of creatures appearing at combat step. You could have up to 4 creatures. You don't even have to swing with Valduk if you don't want to. You probably would, just because why not? You're going to have a lot of damage on him anyway. But just so many 3/1s just appearing out of nowhere. Now you could go even crazier with this and try and make this purely a Valduk deck, where you would attach all the cards onto Valduk, maybe have a white card called Ancestral Possession, which you would have seen in my token decks, where you double the amount of tokens summoned. So then you just have a crazy amount of 3/1s just appearing out of nowhere. However, in this deck, he is there as a backup card, so if we've got a lot of equipment that's left lying around, or enchantments that are stuck in our hand with no targets, Valduk means that there's a new source for them that can get us a lot of pluses. Now down to our next enchantment. I believe it's one of our last ones. It's the last enchantment, which is Dub. Dub is an odd card for the deck. It's 2 and a white, or with Danather it's 1 and 1 white, and it enchants a creature, giving it +2/+2 with first strike, and it's a knight in addition to its other types. So again, this is +3/+3 for the Champion of Flame with first strike. So it's a slight upgrade to Cartouche Solidarity, but again it costs 2 more. The Knight keyword does actually come into effect at some point for this deck though, which is when it's paired up with one of our cards we're all seeing next. So let's move on to the next card, which is Gideon. Gideon of the Trials, not card, Gideon, is a one-off for the deck. He's an interesting planeswalker. He does suit this kind of deck for if your opponent's stalling out. Preventing damage is always nice. You can also have you can zero him as well. If your opponent's playing like a blue-white control or approach deck, the second 0 of Gideon, so you cannot lose the game, is very good. However, he's more here as another 4/4, and that can prevent damage. The deck doesn't really like to run. I was having troubles with the amount of creatures I was running, and I got to the point where Gideon seemed to be a good fit because he can do so many different things. And now the card that goes crazy with Dub. History of Benalia. A card that most people who've been playing Paper or any standard is probably all too familiar with right now. The double white and 1 Saga, which on its first 2 chapters creates a 2/2 knight with vigilance, and on a third gives all knights +2/+1. So Dub makes the creature enchants a knight. So History of Benalia would give whoever's been dubbed the extra +2/+1. So that means that not only, for example, let's give Champion of the Flame, only had Dub attached to him, gives him +3/+3 and first strike, so he's a 4/4 right now. With History of Benalia, he becomes a 6/5. It's kind of crazy. And then to our final equipment, Forebear's Blade. Forebear's Blade is a 3-mana artifact, or 2 with Danather, and the equipped creature gets +3/+0 and has vigilance and trample. With an interesting little keyword effect though, which is whenever an equipped creature dies, you attach Forebear's Blade to target creature you control. So as long as you have enough creatures out, and you're not being board wiped, once you've paid the 3 mana to equip it, you can pretty much just keep handing the sword down the line. It's actually quite a nice card, especially if Champion of Flame gets targeted but no one's really looking at Danather or the Marshal, and then Champion of Flame pretty much just hands his sword over to one of those two, and the beating keeps going. Next up is a couple more pieces of removal in the form of Cast Out. For a 3 and a white, it's Flash, so you can play it anytime you can cast an instant. You enter the battlefield and you exile an online permanent an opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. So if you're going to turn 4, turn 5, and your opponent's got something absolutely huge or something that you can't deal with, you just get rid of it this way. And at a point, if it's you're neither not getting enough mana or you just need to get an extra card for more gas, it has cycling, so you can pay 1 white, discard the card, and then draw. And the final card we have in our deck is Karn, Scion of Urza. Once again, anyone playing Standard right now needs no introduction to this absolute monster. He's a 4 mana legendary planeswalker with 5 loyalty. The +1 lets you reveal the top 2 cards of your library. An opponent chooses one of them, you put that card into the hand they chose, and the other exiled with a silver counter on it. And then -1, you put a card with you own with a silver counter on it from exiled into your hand. And the final effect is a -2, you create a 0/0 colorless artifact creature. With this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Honestly, all the modes of this card are always good for this deck. We run, again, 3 artifacts, so the card can be the tokens can be a little bit beefy, but he's mainly there as just a -1 draw engine. Let's be honest here. Karn is just another way of getting to the cards that can give you answers. Land-wise, 11 plains, 6 mountains, pretty standard. 2 Ramanap Ruins, the card that is banned in Standard in paper. It's not banned in Arena, and it is pretty much here to finish off the damage. So if you cannot get that final 1 or 2 damage, you can just pay 4, sacrifice Ramanap Ruins, and just deal 2 damage to them. And finally we have 5 dual lands of red and white, 4 Stone Quarry, 1 Clifftop Retreat, just to make sure that the colours are curved out. So this is red-white gear up, as I have called it, or red-white auras. And what we will do right now is we will jump into a game with it quickly. So let's switch over. And let's... Okay, so we found the match. Let's see what red-white gear up can do. So our opponent goes first, which seems to be kind of what happens to me. I very rarely will go first. I know it's completely random, but hey ho. So let's see what we got here. We have got 3 land, one of them being red, and our win condition there of Champion of the Flame and Glory Band Initiate. So this looks like a pretty good hand. So let's keep this, and let's see what our opponent is playing. So it's green. Okay. So let's start off with a plain and a short sword. Keep it simple. Then next turn, and this is the problem with the deck, and it is a problem I've seen. Trying to play Champion of Flame early can sometimes cost you more than it should. Okay, so a ramp deck. Okie dokie, that's kind of cool. So let's play out our win condition. Champion of the Flame. Straight away. And let's hope our opponent is only playing mono green. Because it can only... yeah, any lands you produce. Or does not have removal. Green black. Okay, so they do have removal. And now Naga Vitalist has options to black. And there it goes. So that's an issue with the deck. It's that it can just be stopped so quickly by something so small as removal. However, we aren't completely lost yet. Let's keep going with a history of Benalia. So let's see what we can do. So every turn, for the next turn, we will get another 2/2 Knight. And there's a forest for the opponent, so they're on now 5 mana in total, so they can do some pretty cool plays if they want to, and possibly double black because of the Vitalist. Or do they have more removal? Emperor's Land. So whenever it deals combat damage to a player, it explores, so it has a potential to go a little bit crazy. So let's go Ooh, what line of play do we want to go down? Because if that starts attacking, it's not going to be pretty. So let's attach the short sword to our first knight. Let's go to combat. And let's attack for 3. Let's see if they block it. No blocks? Okie dokie. Let's go to next turn. So they're probably going to try and attack with the Vanguard. Hope I don't block. Instead, what I'm going to do is brain it. But that's just the right call for that. So now opponent's on 6. Kite Sail Freebooter. So it can take a non-land or non-creature card. Now there's 3 in our hand, but we're not going to let them take 1. So we're going to play it right now, which is a braid. So let's kill that Vanguard. So they can either take Frenzied Rage or Frenzied Rage. Not exactly great options there for them, but hey ho. So the opponent takes one on the left rather than the right, doesn't really make a difference. Now, do they have any other play with their other 4 mana? A Journey to Eternity. Very nice. So, we've just drawn Cartouche Solidarity. So what we'll do is we will play our Valduk, Keeper of the Flame. No trigger right now. But we will go attacking with our 2 big Night Boys. Start the pain a little bit more. So the Journey to Eternity, whenever a enchanted creature dies, starts a battlefield under control, then transform it. Okay, so it starts to reanimate things once it's a land for 5 mana, 3 black green. Return target creature card from your graveyard. Okie dokie. So, let's play Stone Quarry. And we will re-equip the short sword to Valduk. And then I think the Katusha Solidarity would be nice for him as well. So we'll make a 1/1 creature and go to combat. So we make 2 guys, and I say everybody in. So as you can see, just 2 equipment, and we've already got 8. I have 11 power from Valduk alone. It is a lot to kind of deal with. So that's still going to be 1 damage going through. We're going to assign it like that. Yeah, that's fine. And that's the game. So there you have it, folks. That's red, white, gear up. And a reward left for us. God. And I say let's finish off this video with a quick pack opening from Dominaria. So let's go through it. We have a common wildcard to make it any common we want. Warlord's Fury, 1 red, sorcery, creature you control gain first strike to end a turn and draw a card. Baloth Gorger, 2 double green, 4/4 beast with a kicker of 4. If Baloth Gorger was kicked, it ends the battlefield with 3 1/1 counters on it, so it's a 7/7 for 8. Thallid Omnivore, a 4 mana 3/3 with an ability of +4/1 and sacrifice of the creature. Thallid Omnivore gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If a sapling was sacrificed this way, gain 2 life. Cloud Reader Sphinx, 4 and a blue for a 3/4 flying Sphinx. When Cloud Reader Sphinx enters the battlefield, scry 2. Howling Golem, 3 mana artifact creature. That's a 2/3 with whenever Howling Golem attacks or blocks, each player draws a card. Board the Weatherlight, a 1/1 white sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a historic card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And historic cards are legendary, artifact, or saga enchantments. Finally, our rare is a rare wildcard. So, nothing special there, just any rare I want. So, once again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in another video very soon.